Welcome back, guys. So I've gone ahead to cut it out. Okay. So if you've not seen the tutorial of the pattern of this, okay, I'll drop this in the description box below. Okay. So just check it out. So I've gone ahead to cut out the different parts I need: the front, the back. Okay. I also went ahead to cut a facing for the front part of this. Okay. So you can go ahead and do yours. If you want to use a bias tape to run the neckline of yours, you can do that. Okay. So you can see I've gone ahead to cut out the different piece I need for this dress. Okay, you can see this is the front part of my skirt. Now ensure our pattern papers were not folded for the skirt. Okay, but while cutting your front skirt, it has to be in a fold, and while cutting the back part of the skirt, it has to be double. Okay, so times two of the skirt, or back skirt, and then um in on a fold for the front skirt. All right, so I've gone ahead to cut it out. Okay, you can see I also went ahead to make a notch for my zip allowance. So from that point, I'm going to be imputing my darts. All right, so I can go ahead and put in my darts. So I just went ahead to mark that out, 3.5 inch. Remember your bust span, um the distance between your nipple to the other nipple. And then after marking that, okay, I went ahead to go in and out on both sides by 0.5 inch. Now the length of my darts, like I said earlier, is 4 inches. Sorry, like I said in the other video, the tutorial, the pattern video is 4 inches. Okay, so I'm just using the same measurement I used for my pattern. Okay, I'm changing nothing. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and replicate this for the other parts of the skirt back, the skirt front. So we're just using a bust span of 3.5 inches to a length of 4 inches, and then at the waist area we're going to go in and out by 0.5 inch and then make our connection. So for the front part, the difference between this is that the length of our dart is 6 inches. Okay, unlike the skirt. Okay, the top part of this, the length of our dart is 6 inches. So I'm just going ahead to make these connections. Now the front part of our top has two darts. Okay, you have to put it on both sides, then replicate it on the back part of this. So I'm just doing that, going in and out at the ending of this. You can see this is what we have. So I'll ensure to do the same thing for the back piece of my top. Now from my zip allowance area, I'll mark my 3.5 inch, mark the length of my dart, 6 inches. Okay, make the connection and then go in and out on both sides by 0.5 inch and then connect it to the tip. Okay, you can see that is what the dart is going to look like by the time you finish marking and tracing this out. All right, so this is the last piece. I'm just going to quickly go in and out on both sides, like I said, 0.5 inch. Okay, so I finished doing that. I want to go ahead and put in my darts. So this is what I have after I finished doing that. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew it down. I'm just going to show you the different pieces and how it looks like. This is my top part, and that is what I have after I did that. Okay, I also did the same thing for the skirt after I traced it out. Just went ahead to impute my dart on the various pieces. Okay, so I'll keep the skirt apart and work on the front part of this. So I want to work on the neckline of my front piece. Okay, I'll go ahead and place my facing for the front. Okay, I'll place it the front facing front. Okay, you need it to be facing that way, front facing front, and I'll go ahead to stitch around that area. Like I said, if you want to use a bias tape for this, you can go ahead to do that. Okay, I'll simply use a bias for my back neck part, my neck for the back. Okay, so I'll just do that. You can see I've done that. This is the neck of the back after I've piped it with a bias. Okay, I actually used a matching color bias for this, so it looks nice. Okay, it came out great. And for the front parts, I've gone ahead to use my facing to turn this over to the right side, to the wrong side. Okay, so this is what I have. You can see. And for it to settle, I went ahead to use my hemming glue to place this in between and then iron it down, so it makes it look smooth and very nice. Okay, So the next thing I want to do is to join my pieces together. So the front part of my top to the front part of my skirt, then the back part of my top to the back part of my skirt. This is just simply me attaching them together. Okay, so you can see that's why I said use the same measurement so that you have your darts aligning. Okay, so that's what I'll go ahead to do. I'll just place it out the front part of my skirt to the front part of my top, the back part of my skirt to the front part of my top, and then I'll be using half of an inch of allowance to join this out. See, you can see this is what I have after I finish. This is the front piece. I've joined it down, you can see, and I went ahead to iron open the seam. This looks neat. So I think the beauty of making clothes should be ironing out. Okay, ensure you always iron out. It makes your clothes come out neatly and nice. All right, so this is what it looks like after that. All right, so the next thing I want to do is to join the shoulders of this. Okay, the front and back shoulders together. So I will just place my front piece up. Okay, so simply placing this front um the front part facing the front part. Okay, that's the right side of your material facing the right side of your material. Okay, then go ahead and use half of an inch to stitch down the shoulders, both shoulders. All right, so I've gone ahead to do that. This is what I have after doing that. All right, so I went ahead to press this a little, so you can see this is what we have. Our cloth is coming in gradually. So the next one to work on is our sleeve. I'll keep this aside to work on the sleeve. All right, so the sleeve we're using for this is a bell sleeve. Okay, so it has the around the wrist area is open. So I'm just measuring the length, the width, sorry, of what I want for that opening there. Okay, so I have exactly what I want. Okay, what I wanted was 12 inches and it was 12 inches. So I'm just going to pin this so that I don't have my fabric moving about. Okay, so I'm just going to pin this at different points so that my fabric will not be moving about by the time I start marking on this. All right, so I've gone ahead to pin this down. Just going to pin this down. All right, so after pinning this down, I'm going to mark out my starting point. Okay, I'm just going to trace out a line at the top because the top of this, the fold I have here, is not straight. So I just went ahead to make a straight line. So that will be the starting point of this. Okay, so after doing that, the next thing you want to do is to take the length of the sleeve. All right, for me, from my shoulder to my wrist is 20 inches. Now, because I have an extension in this sleeve, I'll be adding extra to that. Okay, in my case, I'll be adding 8 inches to that for the bell effect. All right, so no matter what your sleeve length is, go ahead and add 8 inches to that. Okay, so I'm marking out 28 inches instead of 20 inches, which is the length from my shoulder to my wrist. Okay, the 1 inch extra will be for the hemming allowance at that end, while the 7 inches extra will be for our bell. Okay, so I went ahead to mark down, come down from the top by 4 inches. That's going to serve as my sleeve cap. Okay, so I'm just going to make my connection at that point to get my sleeve cap. All right, then after doing that, okay, I'll go ahead to measure out my round armhole measurement on that line. That's the 4 inches I came down. Okay, so my round armhole measurement is 16 divided by 2. I have 8, so I just went ahead to mark 8 inches. Now remember, this is on a fold, so you want to ensure you make your divisions. Okay, so from that point, I'm connecting it to the top of the line I have there. That's the beginning part of my sleeve. I will just make a slanted line straight to that point, and after connecting my lines together, I want to get the midpoint of this. So after I measured out, I had 9 inches, so I went ahead to mark 4.5. That's 9 inches divided by 2, half 1.5. I marked that out. Okay, so from that end, I'll be going up by 1/4 of an inch to get my sleeve curve at that area. Okay, now my sleeve is just a fold of 2 because I'll be cutting one piece first and then using that to replicate to get my back piece, sorry, to get my second piece. Okay, so after going up from that area by half quarter of an inch, I went down by quarter of an inch. Okay, so I'm adding an extra 1.5 inch for this. All right, that will serve as my seam allowance and whatever allowance I need. Okay, and ease allowance. So I'm going back to the end of my sleeve length to mark that 12 inches I wanted for my bell effect. Okay, so I'm going to connect this with my rule down to that point. Okay, you'll notice while I was marking this, okay, my fabric was actually um posing a little bit of problem. Okay, so ensure you have this in a straight line while you're doing this. Okay, I actually had to retrace my lines. Okay, just had to work on it so that it will not be slanted because I needed it to be straight. Okay, so that's all we need for this. Okay, that's all we need for this tutorial for this sleeve. Okay, um we'll go ahead to do the other work later, so I'll just go ahead to cut this out. All right, to show you what it looks like. So don't forget, no matter what your shoulder to wrist measurement is, add 8 inches to that. Okay, just ensure you add extra inches to that. All right, so this is what we have at the end of the day after I did that. So I've gone ahead to cut out my second piece. I'll go ahead and hem the end of this with that 1 inch extra. So I'll just fold half of an inch and fold again. Okay, I'll do this for both pieces. All right, so I've gone ahead to do that. You can see this is what it looks like. Okay, so we want to work on our bell. Okay, now I'm going to say our bell. Okay, so I turn this over to the wrong side. Now from the edge of this, I'm marking 7 inches. Remember I said the 7 inches extra is for this the bell effect we need. So I'm going ahead, I went ahead to mark 7 inches from the edge of the sleeve. I am just making my connection through this. Okay, I'm just connecting the 7 inches point together. All right, so what we're going to do is to use an elastic. Go with measure it round your wrist. Okay, you can decide to add extra allowances. I advise to add extra allowances so it's not be tight or too tight around that area. Okay, so I went ahead to do that, cut it out. So I'll go back to the machine and stitch it down like that. Okay, just stitch it down so it have a ruffle kind of effect. Okay, so I'm going ahead to replicate the same thing for my other sleeve. So I'm just marking 7 inches, 7 inches. Okay, just marking 7 inches through this. Okay, so ensure you do the same thing for your own to get this bell sleeve effect. Okay, to get the bell effect. All right, so I'm just connecting this together. All right, so I'll go over to the machine now, use my elastic, and then run on both of them. So I've gone ahead to do that. This is what it looks like. You can see we already have this bell effect at the bottom of the sleeve. All right, you can see this is the other piece. All right, that's what we have. So I want to attach this to my clothes. Okay, I'll go ahead to fold my sleeve into two, get the midpoint of this. Okay, after getting the midpoint, I'll make a notch at that end. So I'll just make a notch at this end now, and then attach it to the shoulder joining of the clothes. Right, so wherever you get your midpoint for the sleeve, attach it to the area where you joined the shoulders together. All right, and make sure you attach it to that point so that your sleeves will be equal on both sides. So this is what I have after I did that. So I'll go ahead and then do the same thing for this other piece. Fold into two. Okay, get my midpoint, make a notch, and then pin it down to the shoulder joining for this other side. So after doing that, I'll just go ahead and stitch it down with half of an inch on both sides. Right, so this is what we have. I've done that. It looks nice. Our cloth is coming in together gradually. All right, so you can see it looks very good. Okay, so we want to attach this together, like sew down our side seam. All right, so I'll turn this over to the wrong side for us to go ahead and do that. Now remember I added a 1.5 inch allowance from the sleeve to the top to the skirt. Okay, but I will not be using all of that. I don't want this gown to be too body fitted on me. Okay, but if you want yours, you can decide to do that. All right, but for me, I'll just be using 1 inch of allowance to join it together. All right, on both sides. Okay, so I have half of an inch on both sides available for me, so that I'll have a little bit of ease. But if you want to use all, you can for yours. All right, so I've gone ahead to do that. You can see this is what I have at the end of the day after doing that. Okay, it looks nice. Okay, and I went ahead to pin this down a little at the back. Okay, I made a little stitch at the skirt area. Okay, so that we can work on ruffles now. Okay, you can see I made a stitch at that point. Okay, so we want to work on our ruffles now. Remember, while doing this calculation, okay, from the um first video, I spoke about the ruffle measurement and stuff. Now, to know the width of the measurement you need, you have to measure around what you have at the skirt area. That's the bottom part of this, so you have to measure around it. All right, so I'm just going to take my tape and then make my measurement around this. So ensure you do the same thing for yours. Okay, so after I did that, I had about 50 inches. Okay, so now your 50 inches, you can decide to double it, triple it, no matter, depending on whatever the amount of gathers you want for your skirt. Okay, but I went on to mark 120 inches. That's, I used 100 and then I added 20 to that. Then I'm marking out the length of the ruffles I want. Now, from the first video, I said I'll be using 15 inches for my length. It's going to serve as my hemming allowance and also joining allowance at the top. So I've gone ahead to mark that. I'm just going to cut this, okay, so that I'm going to have what I need for this. I hope you understand that. So whatever length you have after measuring round, go ahead to double it, triple it, whatever, depending on the amount of gathers you have. Okay, and also consider your fabric. Okay, the fabric available to you. Okay, so this is what I did at the end of the day. I'm just going to split this other part into two, so I'll have two pieces of this. Now remember, I said I have 120. I went ahead to use 120. That means I cut out 60 60. So I have two pieces of 60 inches in length. Okay, and then the width of this is 15 inches, so I have two of this. All right, you can see. So I'll go ahead and join this together, so I have them as one piece. So I've joined it together. This is what I have after joining it together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one part of this, okay, and hem. Remember, I have my allowance for my hemming allowance. Okay, so I'll go ahead, pick one piece, fold it, okay, hem it, and on the other part I'm going to run double stitches for this that I'll be using for my gathers. So I've hemmed it. This is what I have after doing that, and I went ahead to run my double stitch at the other end, okay, because that's the part I'm going to be making my ruffles. So I'm just going to pick one thread for the top and another for the down. I'll ensure I gather these two till I have exactly the length. I have exactly the length I have around the bottom of my skirt. Okay, so you need this to be exactly that length. So ensure you gather this enough till you have exactly that length. So I just went ahead to gather this up till I had 50 inches. Remember, what I measured was 50 inches. So I just went ahead to gather this up, gather it up. Okay, so I have that now as that. Okay, I have it down. I went ahead to bring back my skirt, my dress in this case, because they're both together, and I'm going to just pin this around. I'll just go ahead and pin this around before I stitch this down. So I'm just going to pin this around, just go around this, okay, as quickly as I can. I'm just going to pin this around my the down part of my skirt. Now please, if you're seeing this video for the first time and you're a bit confused, please check on the description box. I'm going to put the link for how to cut this okay, for the pattern of this, okay. And ensure you subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. And give this video a thumbs up, please. And then comment, share. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Thank you for checking up on the channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Okay. So the voice behind this is NASA, and this is NASA's thread. So keep up with me, please, and keep checking on the channel. I promise to update you with good videos and every week. Okay. You can also check up other tutorial videos on the channel, okay, in case you need to. All right. So we'll just get back to this. I'm just pinning this round. I still went ahead to make a little bit of adjustment at this part because I noticed it was actually more than what I needed. So I just decided to adjust this a little bit and then pinned everything down after making my adjustments. All right. So I'm just adjusting this. Okay. After doing this, this is what I have after I pinned and I adjusted this down. All right. Okay. So I've just going ahead to pin this out. So this is what it will look like. Okay. After you stitch it down. Okay. So this is what we have after that. I'll just go ahead and then stitch it down from the inside with half of an inch. So I've stitched it down. I have it looking like this. So we're almost through with this dress. The last thing we're going to be doing for this is to fix our zip at the back. Okay. From I'll just get my zip and then fix it down. There's no magic about fixing this. All right. So I'll just fix down the zip. This is the final look of the dress. Okay, it came out as nicely as I expected it to look. Okay, so let me know in the comments if you'll be trying this out and how easy and fun you found this tutorial. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, okay, and don't forget to turn on notification bell. All right, so thank you for watching and see you in the next video.